Imagine this. A handful of German guys in Dutch police uniforms casually walk up to the most heavily guarded bridges in Europe and take them without firing a single shot. 6 years later, the same mastermind snatches Mussolini off a mountaintop with gliders in broad daylight, while Allied guards are still eating breakfast. And then, in the biggest gamble of the war, he dresses hundreds of his men as Americans, hands them jeeps and GI chewing gum, and sends them loose behind U.S. lines to capture the bridges that could have turned the Battle of the Bulge into an American catastrophe. These weren't regular soldiers. These were Hitler's absolute wild cards, the real men with no names. And almost everything you think you know about them is either propaganda or flat-out wrong. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes, because this story is crazier, darker, and way more important than any movie ever made about it. Let's start with the unit everyone actually forgets when they talk about Nazi super soldiers, the Brandenburgers. These guys weren't gym rats with face paint. They were the ultimate infiltrators. The Abwehr, German military intelligence, hand-picked men who grew up in the exact countries they were going to invade. Native-level language, knew every back road, every bar, every corrupt cop. Think CIA case officer meets Jason Bourne, but in 1939. Their resume starts with the most infamous false flag op in history, the Gleiwitz incident. August 31st, 1939. A team in Polish uniforms attacks a German radio station on the border. They even leave a dead body, a concentration camp prisoner drugged and shot for authenticity. Next morning, Hitler has his pretext, and the world gets World War II. That was the Brandenburgers' calling card, war by deception, before the first Panzer even rolled. Fast forward to 1940, the invasion of Holland. While the Luftwaffe is bombing Rotterdam for the cameras, small teams of Brandenburgers, dressed as Dutch military police, are already escorting real Dutch troops away from the bridges at Gennep and Maastricht, with a smile and a forged order. Bridges intact, German armor pours across, France falls in 6 weeks. Same trick in 1941 on the Bug River. Guys in Red Army uniforms seize bridges hours before the first Stuka appears. Barbarossa gets its lightning start, because these ghosts in borrowed uniforms opened the gates. So why don't we put them on the same poster as the SAS or the Rangers? Because Nazi Germany did everything in its power to sabotage its own special forces. First, the Abwehr and the SS spent the entire war in a cage match. Admiral Canaris, head of the Abwehr, hated Himmler, Himmler hated Canaris, and by 1944, Himmler wins. The Brandenburgers get swallowed by the SS and turned into regular line infantry. Genius move, guys. Second, the German High Command never really believed in special operations. To them, war was supposed to be won by divisions, not by 10 crazy dudes with perfect accents. So the Brandenburgers never got the aircraft, the budget, or the independence that the British gave David Sterling or the Americans gave the OSS. Enter the one name everybody does know. Otto Skorzeny, 6'4", scarred face, looks like the villain in every war movie ever. Gran Sasso, September 1943. Mussolini is locked in a hotel on top of a 7,000-foot mountain. Skorzeny crash lands 10 gliders on a patch of rocks the size of a football field. Kicks in the door, grabs Il Duce before the Italian guards even drop their cigarettes. Total time on the ground, 4 minutes. Propaganda gold. Military value? Italy was already switching sides. But damn, it looked cool. A year later, Skorzeny gets his masterpiece, Operation Greif during the Battle of the Bulge. 2,000 German soldiers who speak English, dressed in American uniforms, driving captured Shermans and Jeeps. Their job: sprint ahead, flip road signs, cut phone lines, and, the big prize, grab the Meuse bridges before the Americans can blow them. It half works and half backfires spectacularly. The panic is insane. MPs start asking random GIs what baseball team Chicago has or who Betty Grable is married to. Eisenhower gets locked in his HQ for days. But the bridges never even close. Most of Skorzeny's teams get caught fast. Captured guys in U.S. uniforms are shot on the spot. Totally legal under the rules of war. Skorzeny himself ends the war as the most wanted commando on the Allied list. The Kriegsmarine had their own suicide squad, the K-Men. Tiny 1- or 2-man torpedoes, explosive speedboats, midget subs. Brave doesn't even begin to describe it. They actually managed to sink a couple of Allied cruisers in the Med, but the cost was apocalyptic. Something like 70 to 80% casualties per mission. Courage without enough boats or training equals tactical fireworks, strategic nothing. And then the Reich collapses into pure desperation. 1945, the Werwolf program. The idea was Nazis stay behind guerrilla cells, blow up bridges, assassinate mayors, keep fighting after surrender. Who do they recruit? 16-year-old Hitler youth and 50-year-old grandpas with Panzerfausts. Result? A few dead Allied soldiers, a lot of dead German civilians when towns get torched in reprisal. Werwolf dies in weeks. So here's the final verdict. Early war? German commandos were scary good. Probably the most effective infiltration teams on the planet between 1939 and 1941. Late war? The same regime that created them strangled them with politics, infighting, and pure strategic blindness. The Allies built entire private armies of raiders and saboteurs, SAS, Rangers, OSS, Commandos, gave them planes, ships, and freedom. Germany buried its best ideas under bureaucracy and SS ego. And the most German ending of all? In 1942, the Abwehr actually managed to land real spies on U.S. soil. Operation Pastorius. 8 guys with explosives and cash submarined onto Long Island and Florida. Within days, one of them walks into a police station, announces, "I'm a German saboteur," and tries to turn himself in. The FBI rounds up the rest before they blow up a single bridge. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Hitler's commandos in a nutshell. Started with the most brilliant covert ops of the war. Ended with their own guys surrendering because morale was already in the toilet. Spectacular, terrifying, and ultimately crippled by the same rotten system they were fighting for.